wonder why we multitask, by the way. In my personal life, I always say I can do many things at the same time. I'm texting, I am cooking, or sometimes if you're a mother like me, you're holding the baby, your phone is here and you're there, you're either breastfeeding and talk. We are doing so many things at the same time. Very many things at the same time. But what does it really do to our brains? Is it good? Is it effective? Is it something that it's good for us to continue doing? And is it really true that women multitask, better than men? Hi once again, and welcome to another episode of Strategic Lenses. This is where we use strategy for efficiency. We are personal, practical, and authentic. This is our second episode, so I hope you tuned into our first episode. If you haven't, please, go check it out. We spoke about self-affirmation, and I really hope you are affirming yourself. Guys, every morning, look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself all the beautiful things you can tell to yourself. Don't wait for someone to come and affirm you. Aki utangoja, yani you will really wait. So affirm yourself first, so that even if someone else tells you, you are already in that mood, you're already appreciating it. And the flip side, if you do not affirm yourself and talk down to yourself, and someone tells you something that is negative, you will believe it so easily. So I hope you're affirming yourself. Give me your feedback. Let me know after 1 week, 2 weeks, how self-affirmation has positively changed your life. Now, on the second episode, first of all, I hope you're okay. I hope you're doing really, really, really okay. And I say this from my heart because we hardly check on each other, so I'm checking on you, and I really hope you're okay. If you're not, please talk to someone, okay? Now, our second topic for today is, I've named it a moment at a time. The most common way of how people say this is a day at a time. But on my personal space, I have discovered that a day can be too long. So a day at a time has ceased to work for me sometimes, and I am taking a moment at a time. So the topic for today is, a moment at a time. We all know this song, One day at a time to Jesus. Yeah, one day at a time, yeah. For me, I would replace those words with a moment at a time to Jesus. That's all I'm asking from you, to live the moment. Now, the question that comes from me, the mind-blowing fact for this particular topic is, we usually say that ladies are good at multitasking or doing things, multiple things at the same time, and men are not. But is it really true? I would like to demystify that today. Now, I did a bit of research, and I looked for the origin of multitasking. You guys will be shocked. The word multitasking, it first appeared in a 1965 IBM paper. Now, this is what it was coined for. It was coined to refer to computers' ability to process multiple tasks simultaneously. Yeah, it is the concurrent execution of multiple tasks over a certain period of time. Now, multitasking was not coined for human beings, it was coined for computers. And this is how our computers work. Sometimes when you have so many windows open, maybe you're doing a Word document, an Excel document, you're doing a PowerPoint presentation, you're listening to a YouTube, you're listening to YouTube or a podcast or music, you can have up to 10 or 20 windows open. And what multitasking does is, if you are typing, on a Word document and jump onto a YouTube video, when you go back to the Word document, you will not have lost that document. You can actually start from where you left. Yeah. Or when you go to YouTube and pause it, yeah, then go back to your PowerPoint presentation. When you go back to the YouTube page, you can actually restart, or press play and continue doing what you are doing. Now imagine multitasking was coined for computers because they have the ability to continue processing information at the same time. Now, human beings, I don't know why we multitask, by the way. In my personal life, I always say I can do many things at the same time. You know, I'm texting, I am cooking, or sometimes if you're a mother like me, you're holding the baby, your phone is here and you're there, you know, you're either breastfeeding and talking. You know, we are doing so many things at the same time. Very many things at the same time. But what does it really do to our brains? You know, is it good? Is it effective? Is it something that it's good for us to continue doing? And is it really true that women multitask, you know, better than men? Now, let me tell you something small about the brain and how the brain works. Now, having understood where the term multitasking came from, multitasking actually reduces your efficiency and performance because your brain can only focus on one thing at a time. Did you know that? Hello? Like, your brain can only focus on one thing at a time. Yeah? When you try to do two things at once, your brain lacks the capacity to perform both tasks successfully. And it's true. Just take a pause and think along with me on this one. Sometimes when you're on your phone and someone is talking to you, and let's say you're texting or you're looking at something, you'll more often than not say, huh? Someone will ask, umenisikia, have you heard what I've said? And then you're like, huh? Just a second. You'll always tell them, just a second, let me finish what I'm doing here. Now, it is true that we cannot let me not say we cannot multitask, but our brains can. It is true that our brains can only process one thing at a time. Now, the most intriguing part for me was this. In addition to slowing you down, multitasking actually lowers your IQ. Wow. Like, that is how much damage we are doing to ourselves by multitasking, by not taking a moment at a time. We are doing so many things, not noticing that we are actually doing damage, you know, to our minds. We are slowing down our brain capacity and actually our IQ. Now, there's this further research that was done at the university in the UK, and they compared the amount of time that someone spent on their devices, for example, texting while watching a TV, to an MR scans of their brains. Yeah, so they compared the amount of time people spend on their devices. Let me just take that again. For example, texting, like so many times you're watching a TV set and you're texting, and the MR scans of their brains, and they found that high multitaskers, like wale watu wanafanya so many things at the same time, had less brain density in the anterior cingulate cortex. Now, medics will help me here. This term called anterior cingulate cortex, a region in our brains responsible for empathy as well as cognitive and emotional control. Let me break this down for you. That by actually multitasking or doing many things at the same time, that part of our brain is actually responsible for empathy, cognitive and emotional control is lowered. That means that our empathy towards people, our control in terms of emotion, our cognitive skills are actually lowered every time we engage in more than one thing at the same time. Now, that is how detrimental it is. Number two, from a very personal place, is things are never perfectly done when you're doing so many things at the same time. That's why I coined today's discussion as a moment at a time. If a day at a time works, fine, but for me it's a moment at a time. Because and women, when we cook, for example, we have 4 burners or 3, and maybe a small gas down there. You have 3 things cooking at the same time. You have to watch over the baby. there's a TV set just next to you, you also want to watch. Maybe you're talking to your children or your spouse or whoever is in the house, and can you imagine how much of brain capacity we are dividing towards so many things? First of all, the cooker, let's say, has 4 things cooking. So either you're making stew, or you're cooking ugali, or you're baking, and it's true, it's life. Sometimes life demands this of us. But I really want us to come to the realization, and I have experienced it personally, that I used to do so many things at the same time. But today, I have come to a place where I'm like, okay, how many things do I want to cook? A simple task as cooking. How many things do I want to cook? I want to cook uji, I want to make some tea, and I want to, let's say, bake, for example. Normally I will do all the 3 at the same time. Nianze na hii nieke, hii napika, hii kiendelea, this one continues, this one continues. But of late, I'm like, let me try doing it one at a time, and I'll see if it will take shorter or longer time. You see, so many times when you multitask, or when you're cooking so many things at the same time, there are very high possibilities that either kitungu ama nyanya, one of them will get burned. It's very high possibility. Number 2, you'll start spilling over things. For sure, something has to go wrong somewhere. The other day I was cooking and I was doing baby's food, food for every other person, and I don't know what happened. The whole soup of, the small, there's a pot that had some soup for the baby. It just spilled over the floor from the fire, guys, from the fire. And on the cooker, I had ugali, I had something else, and I was like, what just happened? Because as I was doing so many things, I lost track, and I lost the whole meal, the whole meal for that. I think for the meal for the baby. So that's when I realized, wait, what will happen if I just wake up, I do the uji, until it's ready. Then I go to something else until it's ready. For example, just a very small example on cooking, but multitasking has come in so many ways. Think about driving. My brother usually tells me, for ladies, for example, when they're driving, the actual act of driving is number 5 in their minds. I don't know how true it is, but it could be true. It's number 5 in their minds. Like, you actually have to drive. That means you either have a phone here, you either have someone seated at the back, you're listening to a radio, you are, there are so many things you're thinking about, even your thoughts. You're thinking about what didn't I do right at work or at home. So we are not in the actual moment of driving, and that's how accidents actually easily take place. Because once you lose that concentration, that's it. Your brain goes into another world. Now, is it true that women are better multitaskers than men? I've come to discover that actually no. The only difference is that women are more organized when they're under pressure. Multitasking usually comes so much when we are under pressure. And when we are more organized when we are under pressure, we tend to prioritize one thing at a time, as compared to men. Men would be a little more confused. But what we are actually doing at any one point, think about it, you are actually prioritizing one thing against the other. Just pause there and think along with me. That when you are faced with 5 or 6 things to do, or even 3 things to do, you're going to prioritize one thing more than you prioritize the other. And as much as sometimes we deceive ourselves that we are actually doing 3 things at the same time, we are not. The brain cannot handle it. So why don't we just enjoy the moment? If it's the moment of driving, why don't we kill all the other thoughts and all the other things that are around us and enjoy the moment? Let us look at the trees and enjoy the ride and enjoy the nature that comes with it. If it's taking care of, if it's cleaning, for example, why don't we just put all our efforts there? And this is the moment that you're living. Enjoy the moment of the cleaning. Look at the windows are well cleaned. Look at the floor, it is well cleaned. Why don't you just enjoy the moment? Because we've realized that even if we are faced with 3 things to do, guys, we are actually prioritizing. One thing is taking precedence more than the other. That means the other two that you're actually giving your time to are not taking precedence. It's almost like you're giving them a false time. Yeah. So my point on taking a day at a time is enjoy the moment. Enjoy the little time that you have, and it's a habit with highly effective people. Sitting still, paying attention, not just paying attention, paying full attention to whatever it is that you're doing. It's like sometimes when you take Zoom calls or classes, and the lecturer on the other side is not there with us, and you want to do things on the background. Imagine you will not hear anything that lecturer is saying, you see. But if we would kill every other thing, and whatever the moment presents itself with, we take it on as it is, give it our full attention, then we will gain everything we want from that, from that circle. So yeah, that's really what I want to share about taking a moment at a time. That we are faced with moments and so many things that come to our lives, and when they come, prioritize, see what you can do now and what you can do later, and just stop pressuring your brain to take on so much, because it can. First of all, you're lowering your IQ. Like, everything is just going to work so negatively for you when you try to multitask. And remember, multitasking is for computers. It was coined for computers, not for human beings. So I really hope you've learned something today. And my practical part for this episode is try today, tomorrow, from, I don't know what time you're listening to me from, but if it's in the evening and you're cooking, try do one thing at a time. Try and enjoy that moment. That if you're watching a TV and you're there with the kids and you're there with your family, try to do one thing at a time. And I don't know if you've realized, sometimes when you're on our phone and the kids are asking for your attention, they tend to cry, because they've realized, your attention is already drawn to something else. But if you could put the phone down and then enjoy this moment with this child, imagine the cries will go away. You will stop feeling like you are rushing towards something that is not there, because it's not there. This is the moment that you have, so enjoy this moment. So I really hope you will try. Give me your feedback. Let me know how doing one thing at a time actually works for you. Thank you so much for listening. Keep coming back. We have so much more that I'd like to share with you. Until next time, goodbye.